All right, awesome. So welcome everyone here officially to our masterclass. I'm going to turn on my video, hopefully it works. Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Heather Choate. I am the co-owner and co-founder of High Thrive Coaching, and my team member Diego is here with you today. And I want to honor you and welcome you and thank you for coming. I honor you because it says something really special about you. And sorry for the shaky screen. I am balancing this on my lap. So I might move over to the desk here in a minute. I honor you because it says something amazing about you, that you are willing to learn about your marriage and you're wanting to have solutions. You're wanting to improve things. And right now, most likely, many of you, in fact, probably all of you, your spouse is not wanting the same thing. Am I right? They're checked out. They're wanting a divorce. They might be having an affair. They're in love with someone else. And those are the exact kind of situations that we help people with every day. So you are not alone. Yeah. Toron says exactly. Now, here at High Thrive Coaching, we have been helping people just like you to turn this situation around with their spouse, with our proven 4-step process. And I believe it's something very different than anything else that you've probably heard before. And it really works. In fact, we've been able to help save over 15,000 marriages now using this exact method. And I'm not talking easy situations or easy cases. We only actually take the hardest cases that there are. We're talking about multiple affairs, midlife crisis, narcissism, addictions. We're talking about people on the verge of divorce, some already fully divorced. It does happen. And situations like that. So as we dive into the masterclass today, I want this to be a dialogue, not just a monologue. So please use the chat. Let me know what breakthroughs you have, what aha moments you have, and any questions that you have so that I can help you best in our time today. My promise is to not just give you great information, but transformation. I just got a comment. I don't have any sound. Can everyone else hear me? Because it might be your audio there, Brandon. So just let me know in the chat if you can see and hear me okay. Want to make sure that you guys can hear me before I go on. All right. Toron says she has paper signed, but she hasn't done anything with them yet. Something holding her from the final step. Okay. Yeah. Everyone else can hear me. Okay. Greg, Randy, thank you. So I think that's probably on your end. Diego, if you don't mind messaging them, letting them know how they can fix their audio so they can hear us, that would be great. All right, so let's make this a dialogue, not just a monologue. Go ahead and do the exercise with me. Put your answers in the chat. Put your questions in the chat. We will do our best to answer every single one of them. And if we don't during the masterclass, then we'll reach out to you afterwards to make sure that we get your questions answered and get you some solutions to the challenges that you are facing. Not just information, but transformation. Sound good? All right, that's my promise to you. Now, let's do an exercise right off the bat. I am going to launch a poll here. And I want to know, what is your situation? Are you couple A, where your spouse has already filed for divorce? They're threatening for divorce. You want to know what to do to cancel that and get back with you, okay? Couple B would be dealing with affairs, multiple affairs, or broken trust is a major challenge and issue going on in your marriage right now. And couple C would be dealing with no communication, very little communication, only surface level communication. Maybe they will not open up and they avoid the deeper levels of communication with you. Okay. Yeah. A, B, and C I'm seeing. Thank you for weighing in, possibly multiple. It could be more than one of them. Brandon, thank you. Toron, Randy, awesome. Getting your answers in the chat as well. So yeah. And if you're watching on Facebook, you do this live too, because I'm going to follow up and see every single comment that you make, and I will answer every single one of them. So go ahead and weigh in on what your biggest challenge is right now. That will help me know what to go deeper in with you. Because if it's affairs, I can go deeper into affairs. If it's communication, I'll go deeper into that. So let me know what the primary problem is. All right. Divorce was finalized last month. All right, Greg, we need to talk. Right? Jennifer, mine is B and C. Okay. So thank you guys for weighing in. I'm going to share our results real quick from those here live on Zoom with me. We have 18% said divorce filed, or at least threats of divorce. 41% trust in affairs and 41% communication. I rarely see those two tied, so that's kind of fun. I don't know if fun's the word, but I'll make sure that I give equal attention to both of those. Awesome. All right. So thank you guys for weighing in on that. Now, I want to do another exercise with you. Let's ask ourselves these two questions, okay? And I really want to see what your answers are. So please put them here in the chat, in the comments, and let me know. When I know where you want to go, then I can help you get there. But if you don't know and I don't know, then how are we ever going to get there? Okay. So question one is, where do I want my marriage to be 3 months from now? For those of you dealing with affairs, that might be, I want them to leave the affair partner. I want them to no longer be breaking my trust and breaking my heart. Maybe if you had the affair, you want to know how to restore that trust, how to heal things between you again. For those of you who have separation or divorce, maybe you want them to take divorce off the table. You want rings to come back on. You want them to at least consider being with you, right? Communication. You want to be able to open up and talk about things. All right, so some great comments coming in. My wife says she doesn't trust me. All right, we'll go deep into that. I'm trying to get some communication, but he's resistant because he's now living with the affair partner. Path of healing and trust that is full of communication. I want him to leave her and be back in our home again. Slow down the divorce process and talk. Affair gone and is working on rebuilding our marriage and spending more time together. Awesome. I'm going to keep going through these. But as I do, I want you to think about this next question. How good would it feel to have your spouse in love with you again? Not just co-parenting, not just friendly or respectful. I mean, those would all be great things, right? We're going to get you there, but how great would it feel to have them in love with you? Okay, where they want to be with you and they give you their heart fully again. How good would that feel? All right, back to the chat. Beginning lines of reconciliation. Awesome. Be able to trust and get him to fall in love with me again. I want my marriage to be back to the loving couple we were and spending time together as a family. All of what you've said. Spouse is avoidant. Easy, fun, open, fairly sharing the mental load. Yeah. How do I get the trust back? Yep, we'll go deeper into that. Where we have no arguments when communicating and it's open and honest, so we can have any issue resolved. No trust, lack of communication, but she doesn't want divorce. My wife's birthday is 4/6. I would like to have a date with her by then. Yeah, that would be amazing. Less time on games, phone, communication, and intimacy. Fantastic and a big stress relief. It would feel awesome. I want her to learn how to heal for herself, but will not work with me. It would be most amazing. The love with help. Sorry, my context shifted in my eye. I can't see the screen clearly. The love with help with communication. Awesome. I got the famous line that she's not in love with me. Did you get, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, right? That's a very common one. It would be great to have a stronger marriage. Awesome feeling having my family back together. I want to be back in our marital home in 3 months, communicating and back to being our loving, fun couple we were 3 to 4 years ago. It would feel awesome. It would be awesome to have her back in love with me, less stress on me and improve my health. I would feel great and make her happy. I don't want the same marriage. I want it to be better and awesome. I can do it. I can do it. Does she? Yeah. I have an order against me. How would that work? Yeah. So there's definitely some situations that we're going to go deeper into. It's definitely if you have restraining orders, divorce papers already signed, we're going to go into some markers of things that, do make this a more challenging situation and what to do about it. Okay. But for the most part, that people are not dealing with restraining orders, things like that, then we'll share those as well. Okay. All right. Wants a divorce. I want to be back, be the love of his life again. Awesome. All right. Thank you. So I appreciate you sharing that. And for those on Facebook, I will read yours as well. I read every single comment that we get. Now, what you just did was really a very important thing. And actually, most people don't do that when they're in this kind of situation. And this is a big factor that determines your success in your relationship, in your love life, versus those that don't turn this around. And they do end up getting divorced. And not only do they end up getting divorced, but what happens is they tend to get into another relationship. And then what? The same thing happens. Like the same painful cycle repeats itself. So what we're doing right now is we're breaking that cycle and you're becoming aware of where you are and where you really want to be. Most people will not do that. Why? Because when you're feeling like you're just getting slammed by the waves and you're being ripped apart by like a hurricane, you can't think straight, right? And you don't even, you feel like you're just like trying to keep your head above water. I felt like that myself. I've personally been married almost 18 years with my husband, Ben. I mentioned to those early in the masterclass that came on early. I have 8 children. We have 8 children together. All right. And we've seen our share of marriage struggles. And I know what it feels like to feel like I don't even know what's happening. And you get into fight, flight, or freeze mode, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. You can't think straight. Like, I'm just trying to get through each moment. So now you're trying to ask me, like, where do I want to be in 3 months? I'm just trying to get through the day, right? So what you're doing here is taking back some of your personal power. And you're saying, I get to decide where I'm going to go. And yeah, my spouse has their decision to make also, and we can't control them. We can't make them do anything. But when you decide where you want to go, then the way will make itself manifest. If we don't decide where we want to go, well, who will decide it for us? Like, you're the only one that gets to decide where you go in your life. No one else can do that for you. Your spouse can't do it. They already have their agenda, right? Your mom can't do it as much as she loves you. Only you get to determine where you're going in your life. And so many of us are like ships on the sea, and we're just getting ripped to shreds, right? We all know if we don't decide where we're going and we just let life decide for us, life has a way of just kind of ripping us to shreds. So you need to be the captain of your ship, right? You need to know where your destination is. And then you will chart the course and you'll steer through the different challenges that will come, the different storms and the different obstacles. They might get you off track for a little bit, but you know where you're going, and you'll be able to bring yourself back on track and get to that destination. So what you guys just did here is you chose where you want to go, and then we will help you get there. So how will we do that? Well, this is our big discovery. Like I mentioned, for those who are on early, we've helped over 15,000 couples now save their marriage from divorce and to create not just a good marriage, but a marriage that they both love. And we made a really big discovery about 4 years ago. And our big discovery is that after working with thousands of couples, we found that there's one little thing that's a big reason why marriages are ending in divorce. I say it's something insane because no one else is even talking about this because they don't know what it is. All right. This is our 4-step process to save your marriage from divorce. Step 1 is hitting the pause button. This is where your spouse does not pull away from you anymore. They don't necessarily move closer to you, and they don't move closer away. They just pause. We'll go deeper into that. Step 2 is where they start to take some steps towards you. They want to spend time with you. They're reaching out to you. They're initiating conversation. Okay. Then step 3 is where we deepen that into a deeper level of connection. We resolve the root issues that cause these things to come up in the first place, and we restore trust so that you both feel safe and good in the relationship. And then step 4 is commitment. And this is where they give their heart to you fully again, and where they commit to you, not just for a year, not for a decade, but for life. I believe for eternity, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. All right. So let me know in the chat. You guys are a really bright group here. Which of these do most people push for when their spouse wants out? Of all these 4 steps, what do you usually want when your spouse is saying, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or I'm having an affair, or I want a divorce, or I won't talk to you? What do most people push for? Yep. Torrin says connection, commitment. Mark, commitment. Lisa, connection. Torrin through communication, commitment. Melissa says, awesome. Connection. Robert says, ding, ding, ding. You guys are so right. And I get it. When your spouse is pulling away from you, it's scary. It freaks me out every time my husband withdraws from me. And I'm like, come back. I want to feel connected with you. I want to feel like we have this bond together still. I want to feel like you're emotionally invested in me, right? And committed. I want to know that you're here with me and you're trying to leave right now. And that's scary. So we push for their commitment. I'm going to tell you right now, if you push for commitment or connection too soon, it will backfire. In fact, that's why most people don't save their marriage, is they're wanting the connection and they're wanting the commitment, and your relationship right now isn't ready for it. Okay. There are steps that we need to do to be able to provide an environment of stability in the relationship so you can get to the place where you build this connection and you get their commitment. All right. And I'll explain why and show you how. Just know for now that we must solve problems in order. Just like when you're dating, you don't go from the first date to a wedding proposal the same night, right? That'd be too fast, too soon. You have to let the relationship develop in a proper and natural way. I know you're already married, and so it can seem like a funny analogy, but trust me on this. If you push for their connection and you push for commitment too soon, it will backfire. All right. So trust me, we're going to solve problems with you in the right order. Let's dive into the steps. Step 1 is the pause button. This is where they stop pulling away more from you or moving closer toward divorce or another person. Okay. So how do you know if your spouse has hit the pause button? First, they're no longer actively pulling away more. Second, they stop going forward with divorce or separation. Someone mentioned that you have divorce papers. She signed them, but she is not yet over the edge, right? That may be an indication for you that she's hit the pause button. We'll go deeper into it and find out. And lastly, they stop talking about leaving. Maybe they've been threatening divorce for the whole time, like for months and months and months, right? And all of a sudden they just stop talking about it. They just stop talking about divorce. They stop talking about leaving. They stop talking about separation. Okay. That's what happens here in the pause button. Now, what's going on underneath the surface is that your spouse is considering the possibility of staying and being happy with you. Now, note, they are not decided yet. Okay, they're not. And again, if we push for that decision and that commitment too soon, backfire, guaranteed. Okay. So how do you know? Let me know in this chat here. Has your spouse hit the pause button yet? So let me know in the chat or the comments if you think your spouse has hit the pause button. Let me know. I'll wait for your comments. Do you feel like they've hit this button where they are no longer pulling away from you more? They're no longer having the affair. They're no longer wanting to be with anyone else. They're no longer wanting a divorce. They're no longer threatening things. All right, Melissa says no. Mark, no, not yet. Roger, yes, no, not quite sure. No, we have been back and forth. I feel like she has, or just a big procrastinator. I think he's wavering, but still having the affair. I sent the message, but she is still angry. No. All right. Now, some of you may hit the pause button and you may be stuck in more like the friends stage. Okay. Yes, I'm pretty sure they have. It has been 3 months since mentioning divorce. Awesome. I don't know. It's been 3 months since she still doesn't speak to me, but still cooks for me and asks kids. I think so, but not sure. Not sure how he feels. Separated 9 months, little talk, mostly me. Okay. Don't think so. She's still, sorry, getting tongue tied. Still talking, but not about us having an affair. Okay. No, they're talking with me. All right. She's still making plans with me. Yeah. So Roger, that means she's hit the pause button if she's making plans with you and not actively pulling away more. Awesome. So if they have not hit the pause button yet, it's okay. It just means that you've missed something along the way. And I want you to give yourself some grace because most people miss it too, which is why they don't save their marriage from divorce. And the good news is that you can learn how to with our proven process. All right, someone mentioned the path versus pull method, and that's exactly what I'm going to share here. So one of the biggest mistakes most people make is pushing for their spouse's full commitment too soon, putting too much pressure on the relationship. All right, this is our push versus pull method. Here are some very common mistakes. In fact, every single person that I've talked to about their marriage, and I talk to numerous people every week on Facebook, on YouTube, in masterclasses just like this. Every single one of them, including all of my clients here at High Thrive Coaching, has made at least one of these mistakes. In fact, I will raise my hand and say, I've made all of them. I've made every single one of these mistakes. Okay. So just lean in here. If you have an aha moment, put it in the chat. Be like, oh my goodness, I am doing that. No wonder why he or she is still pulling away. Okay. Mistake number 1, demanding that they work on the marriage. This can sound like you need to go to counseling. You need to work on the marriage with me. You need to change. You need to end the affair. You need to honor your marriage vows. You need to do this for the kids. Anything like that, where you're saying you need to do this so that I can feel better. Those are putting demands upon our spouse. Okay. What about manipulation? This is the second biggest mistake here, trying to get them back. Sometimes this looks like very obvious forms of manipulation, and more often than not, though, it can be very subtle. So manipulating can sound like, well, I'm going to take the kids from you if you do this, or I'm going to ruin your credit, or I'm going to wreck you financially, or I'm going to ruin your reputation. I'm going to tell your mom. Like, I've heard and seen everything. Okay, you wouldn't even believe. All right. If you go have that affair, I'm going to go do whatever I want with whoever I want. Right. We make these threats and we hope that they'll come away from the threat back to us. But does it ever really work? No. The more subtle forms of manipulation could be like pretending that someone at your work, like a coworker, or maybe someone on social media or something, is interested in you. And you're pretending that all these people like want to be with you. And you do that to try to make your spouse jealous and have them see everything that they're going to be missing. Or maybe you use the kids against them, and then you use the kids to try to talk to them and get them to consider things or do different things, right? Or maybe you use other family members or friends. You use these different forms of trying to get what you want, right? These aren't pretty, but we do them. Like I said, I've done many of these. I've pretended to have someone that was interested in me just so my husband would be jealous. That's not pretty, okay? It's not. But we do these things out of fear and desperation because we want this person to come back to us. But these are the things that do not work. The next one is probably the most common one that I see. This is begging, pleading, acting out of desperation. Usually when these things don't work, we revert to this. Like, please don't go. Please don't leave me. Please give me another chance. I'll do anything for you. And over apologizing. I am so sorry and I will do anything. Please give me another chance. Please, 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 right? And acting out of fear and desperation. The last one is freezing and doing nothing out of fear. Sometimes we don't know what to say or what to do. It doesn't feel safe. We're worried about doing the wrong thing. So we end up doing nothing. I often hear this, like, when I'm around my spouse, I just clam up. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm so afraid I'm going to do the wrong thing. Maybe because you have done the wrong thing for so long, you know that didn't work. Or maybe you're just, that's just your natural tendency, is just to be a little more averse to conflict and you don't want to make things worse. And so you just end up doing nothing. So let me know in the chat, what do you feel like you have done? Any of these mistakes, okay? Yep, I'm trying to reconcile. Begging and pleading was the first mistake I make. Have an avoidant spouse. I feel if I just back off, we will fall into the same pattern of how all fell apart. Okay, exactly. All of it. Exactly. I've demanded, but I have asked. Let's see. But I have not asked. Okay. All of them, demand and beg. Freezing at times is another mistake I've made. Requesting he work on the marriage. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I've done all of it. OMG, all. Exactly. And again, you're not alone. All of us tend to make these mistakes, and I'll show you why it's actually not your fault. However, there are things that we can do that are much more effective. All right. So all of these, demanding, manipulating, begging, pleading, freezing, doing nothing out of fear, all of these will only push your spouse further away, which is not what we want. Why does it push them further away? Because none of these are A, considering what your spouse actually wants or desires. All of these, what are they really indicating? Are they indicating that they're really thinking about your spouse and what they're wanting and what their perspective is? Or are they really thinking about who? You guys are smart. Put in the chat. Who are they really thinking about? I'll wait till I see it. That's right. They're thinking about yourself. They're thinking about protecting yourself, right? I'm scared. I'm worried. Please come back to me. I need you so I can feel safe. All of these things are desperate attempts to feel safe ourselves, okay? And that is why they do not feel safe to your spouse. So A, they won't feel like you're really hearing them or understanding them or even respecting what they're asking for. But B, it won't feel safe to them. And it's going to cause them to want to be even more distant from you. Because when we're up against a threat, the first thing we want to do is create some space to have some safety. All right. Now let's show you what we do, what you want to do instead. This is the pull part. This is where we help our clients pull their spouse to them like a magnet. Right now, it's like the magnet and the wrong ends. You know what that feels like? All that tension and just kind of like repelling each other. What happens when you flip the magnet the right way and it just syncs up, right? That's what we want to do so that you are naturally drawn back together. You both want to be with each other, okay? Which is a very different thing than making them come back, right? The first thing we do is take the pressure off so they no longer feel the need to have more space from you. If all those other things make them want to have more space from you, the remedy to that is actually taking the pressure off, stopping the demands, stopping the manipulating, okay? Stopping the desperation and the fear, stopping the freezing, taking the pressure off so they don't feel like they have to keep running. That's going to help them hit the pause button. Second is increasing some validation and understanding towards them. This one can be, you know, it's really difficult sometimes for us to step out of our own brain and our own emotions and understand where they're really coming from. And the interesting thing is that more often than not, even though you're going about it very different ways, you actually both want the same things. You may not believe me in that. You're like, Heather, then why are they doing this? And they're doing that. You're going about it in different ways. But at the end of the day, you actually want the same things. So when you say, I see that for you, you're not happy here. I understand that for you, you're wanting to be with this other person. I understand for you, you feel more alive with this and this. It's just saying, I see where you're coming from and putting yourself in their shoes so that you can demonstrate some empathy. That is going to help them to feel heard, to feel understood, and to feel respected. And when you have no secret hidden agenda of trying to get them back because you've taken the pressure off, they will feel safe and hit the pause button. The biggest piece here with all of this is what we call a pattern interrupt. So right now, you and your wife or you and your husband are in a certain pattern. You've been in this pattern for maybe weeks, months, sometimes even years, sometimes even decades, right? And what happens is that you develop this pattern and you may not even realize what the pattern is. But that is why we come in and help you identify what the pattern is and interrupt the pattern. If you keep doing the same things that you've always been doing, you're always going to get the same results you've always had, right? That's the definition of insanity. When you keep doing the same thing and you expect something different, it's not going to happen. What we help you do is do some new things in a new way. And usually it's only just very rarely is it a massive change. It's usually just a couple degrees difference. But that puts you on a completely different trajectory. You do new things, you get new results. And this is where we work with you one-on-one to identify what is the pattern that you're in. How can we interrupt that pattern? We'll give you a very brief example, okay? This is a very common one. So I'll call his name Brian, change the client's name to Brian, and his wife told him to stop texting her because he was texting her all the time. He thought, I'm going to fight for my marriage. I'm going to prove to my wife I love her. And if she leaves me, it's not going to be because she didn't know I love her, right? So every day he would send her this text. I love you. I have blah, 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 blah. I'm always here for you, you know, that kind of thing. But she had said, stop texting me. So what do you think he was signaling to her when he continued to text her? Was it, I really understand you. I really validate where you're coming from. You know, I really want to respect your desire here. Exactly. Toron got it here, not hearing her. It is not demonstrating that he's hearing her or listening or respecting. So this is a pattern that he was in of continually texting her out of fear because he didn't want to lose her. At the same time, he had no idea that this continual texting when she said, stop texting me, was backfiring, right? He's not listening. He has his own agenda. Exactly, Jeff. Really bright there. You guys are really smart. You get this. But sometimes we don't realize that the things that we're doing and the patterns that we're in are the very thing that's causing this whole thing to continue to backfire and actually get worse and worse and worse. So instead of unintentionally having your efforts backfire, like Brian thought he was doing the right thing. He was fighting for his marriage, right? He had good intentions, bad execution, didn't know. So we told him, stop texting her. He's like, if I stop texting her, I'm going to lose her. Like, no, You stop texting her, she's going to feel heard. She's going to feel like, oh, Brian actually respects me, which is vital in order to turn this thing around. Okay. So what happens when we pattern interrupt, when we validate them, we increase the understanding, we take the pressure off. All of these get your wife or husband's attention and get them to consider the possibility of staying, get them to hit that pause button. So how do we do this? Well, I mentioned earlier the fight, flight, or freeze mode, right? And how it's really not your fault that you can't help but get into some self-preservation mode, right? Where you want to demand, you want to manipulate, you want to beg and plead, you want to freeze. All of these are all about self. Okay. And I want you to know you're not alone. You're not broken. Nothing is wrong with you. Okay. Most people feel so overwhelmed, so unsure, and full of pain and fear that they totally get this wrong when they try to do it on their own and maybe some other just ineffective, bogus, garbage, outdated methods out there. Okay. I want you to know it is not your fault that you have not been able to do this on your own. Take a deep breath. If you hear nothing else today, I really want you to know this. It's not your fault that you haven't been able to do this on your own. That doesn't mean you don't have accountability for your choices, but there is a biological reason behind why we go into trying to protect ourselves. Okay. What happens is that during and after a fight, or maybe your spouse leaves, or they say, I want a divorce, or they say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or you find out that they are having an affair. Any of these are emotional traumas. And what happens is that there's a heightened emotional state where your body responds to this rejection, to this tension, as if it were a physical trauma or threat. Your brain starts pumping out cortisol, epinephrine, other stress hormones, and they flood every single cell of your body within 7 seconds. Your brain and your body were designed to do this to protect us from dangerous situations, right? When we're out in the savannah, we can't just be like, oh, butterflies and flowers and rainbows if there's a lion, right? Like we have to be aware and be able to respond to threats quickly. So what happens here is that even though in this case, there isn't a physical danger, your body actually doesn't know the difference. And this process clouds our thinking and causes us to react out of instinct. So we do not make logical decisions. And emotionally, you just can't help but get into fear. This is called the fight, flight, or freeze mode. And the blood flow is almost completely reduced to the reasoning part of our brain. That's why we'll be like, oh my goodness, why did I say that? Why did I do that? It wasn't even me. It's not you. It's the animal part of you that just came out to play because it responded to this emotional trauma. So you are responding out of instinct, like we all do. And this instinct of this fight, flight, or freeze mode can lead to intense emotional distress, even physical pain. Some of you in the chat mentioned earlier how unhealthy you feel and how stressed out you are, how you can't concentrate at work, you can't sleep at night. So I bet you can feel it in your body right now. Where do you feel it? Does it feel like pressure on your chest, like you can't even take a breath? Or does it feel like weight on your shoulders, like the world is just pressing down on you? Does it feel like sickness and anxiety and like clenching in your stomach? Does it feel like pinching in your mind, like you just can't understand what is going on? Is it affecting you at work? You just can't even concentrate. You can't sleep at night. Where do you feel this in your body? All right, let me know in the chat. Where do you feel all of the above? Yep, exactly. I feel like tension in my mind. I feel like sickness in my stomach, all of the above. Yeah. And what happens is that when you feel this, and a lot of you are saying everywhere, all of the above, anxiety, sickness, yeah, it can create physical symptoms. It can even create disease. Okay. It repeats over and over. Exactly. Chest pain. You guys are tapping in and you're seeing where this is affecting you in your physical body, right? Anxiety, concentration, all above all the time. Yeah, it feels like the weight of the world pressing on me, like boulders on my back, right? So this is what happens when we rely on our own biological instincts, okay? If you rely only on these instincts that are causing you to demand, manipulate, beg, plead, freeze, there is no way that you can expect to be in a clear-headed manner to draw them back to you. And this is where most people fail to ever salvage their marriage, and more couples are ending up getting divorced. But the good news is that you do not have to do this alone and risk losing them forever. So we've created this scientifically proven 4-step process that will take you from point A, where you're broken, you're unhappy, you're distrusting, you're having, broken trust in the affairs and all the unable to talk about things and distance, right, to point B, where you guys said you want to be, where you're back together with your spouse. You're able to talk about things. You have a better marriage even than ever before, right? You're back in love, crazy in love more than ever before. And you learn how to stop unintentionally pushing them away and learn how to pull them back to you naturally and effortlessly. All right. And that is why it is so important to have guidance from an expert, so you know what will work and what will not. You're not left guessing anymore. You're not left trying to solve this on your own. One of my favorite sayings is that you cannot read the label when you are inside the bottle. We are all inside the bottle of our own marriage. I'm inside the bottle of my own marriage. In fact, I just picked up a bottle the other day because I love this thing. And I told my daughters, I was like, look, if all of us are like right here and we can't see the label, like we can't read it when you're inside of it, we're too close to it. And that is why it takes someone on the outside, an expert who knows how to read the label on the bottle, how to diagnose what's really going on here, and prescribe the exact treatment plan to get you to the result that you want. So let me know in the chat, put your name and your phone number with the country code. Me and my team member here are the only ones that will see this. We're the only ones that can see the chat. Just goes directly to us as the panelists. If you want your marriage assessed by an expert, we offer a completely free marriage assessment where we read the label on your bottle. We diagnose exactly what's going on here, and we prescribe the treatment plan that is going to get you the result that you want. When I was going through breast cancer, some of you may know my story, some of you may be brand new here, right? I went through stage 4 breast cancer while I was pregnant at the age of 29. What do you think would have happened if I tried to just do it myself? If I just try to solve this on my own? If I noticed I had a lump here above my left breast and I was like, I'm just going to do surgery and cut that bad boy out and I'll be good to go. What would have happened? Like, it would have been disastrous. Do you think I would have been able to survive this situation? Absolutely not. I went to one of the best experts in the world who knew how to read the label on this bottle of mine, how to diagnose what was really going on, and how to prescribe the exact treatment plan that would save not only my life, but my baby's life. Even then, I was given a 5% chance at life. And that's why it's so important for you and me to know where we want to go and to fight for it and do what it takes to really get there. So thank you guys. Put your the country code in there as well, especially if you are in UK. I know some of you are from Scotland and UK over there. I don't want to miss you. So we will call you directly after the masterclass within the next 24 hours and give you this marriage assessment completely free. All right. Thank you. So after we have assessed your marriage, it's vital that you follow your coach's plan for you so you can successfully hit all 4 of these reconciliation markers. Without all 4, your marriage won't be saved. You might make good progress, but you won't get to the end goal of having them give you their commitment again. So here is a client win shared with permission. He says, Heather, my wife served me a separation agreement a month ago. I've been looking it over, making little edits and comments, so we can go over it together first. This morning, she tells me she doesn't want me to sign it. She said, let's wait and see what happens. We can always make a new one later on if we have to. She hasn't said she wants back in, but this feels really good. I've actually been doing less, and I thought it was giving up. Thank you and Marc for founding High Thrive and making this information and support available. So my friends, what stage is this client at when he wrote this? What stage is he at? Of all the stages, I'm going to see who nails it. What stage is this client at? His wife wanted a separation a month ago. All right. And then all of a sudden she says, wait, let's not sign it. Right? He's doing less and he thought it was giving up, And now she's saying, hey, let's wait, freeze, yep, pause button, ding, ding, ding. Exactly. This is the pause button. So that is exactly where he's at. His wife is not committed to him yet, but it's working. And we want to get you there too. This is the first stage we have to get to in order to make any more progress on the relationship. Now that brings us to step 2. This is a fun one. This is where your spouse starts to take some steps towards you as they want to spend more time with you and are attracted to you again. Now, this doesn't just mean physical or sexual attraction. It can be that. That usually comes later. What needs to happen first is that they actually want to open up with you and spend time with you. Okay. So our goal here is to have them want you and want to spend more time with you. So let me know in the chat, are they wanting to spend time with you right now? Are they open to having conversations with you? Do you think that you've already hit stage 2? Let me know. Nope, absolutely not. So. Okay. Here's another indicator. Are things hot and then cold? Do they come to you and then they pull away? This is another indicator that you are at step 2. Randy says no communication at all. Then we definitely need to get you going with the pause button and get that communication open. Yep, hot and cold, a lot of you hot and cold. Okay. We call that the teeter-totter effect. That's where they, maybe you have a great weekend together or they have an awesome conversation and all of a sudden they kind of freak out and they pull away. And maybe they go back to their partner or they just back away from you, right? Hot and cold. And so what happens is they're going up and down. They want to be happy with you and then they get scared or something happens and they go back to the way that it was. That's the pattern that you're in right now. And what we want to do here at step 2 is to end that pattern so that they only want to be with you. And we're going to call this flipping their emotional switch. And that is what we do here in step 2. Right now, they're kind of going off, on towards you, or maybe they're completely off still. And we're going to flip them to being on for you. Okay. So what typically happens here is that you maybe lost some of that spark. They don't have a desire to work with you. They're not willing to work on things with you. They don't want to talk with you. Maybe you let unhealthy patterns and issues get in the way, or they did. And that's why they said they needed space or they started to pull back or wanted out. This is what it really means when they're saying, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. It means they've lost their desire for you. And this is why desire is actually more powerful than love. Okay. You can get that desire back, and it's easier than you might realize when you do it the right way. So instead of letting your fear, your biological instincts, remember, repel their desire for you even more. So the biggest mistake that you can make right now is trying to resolve deep issues, trying to deepen the connection or get them to commitment, right? When you don't have their desire. That's like trying to drag a camel to water. We've all heard this, right? You can kick, you can scream, bribe, remind them of their vows, demand they work on things. You can remind them of all your happy times together. Try to convince them all you want. But if the camel isn't thirsty, it's not going to drink. We want to get that camel thirsty. Okay. So let me know in the chat, what have you already done to try and solve this issue with the hot, cold, the back and the forth, and not wanting to talk with you, not wanting to spend time with you? And why do you think it hasn't worked? Okay. Have you done therapy? Have you tried to get them to go to therapy, counseling, talking to pastor, friends, family, advice, taking advice from them, listening to them, talking to them about it? Have you done self-help books, YouTube videos, working on yourself, right? Trying to become a better person yourself. All of those things can be fine, but the bottom line is they're either ineffective or they just take too long. And in this kind of situation, time is not on your side. Working on yourself is good for you, but it's not enough to get your spouse back. If it were, everyone that I know that's working on themselves would have a great marriage. The reality is they don't. So there's something more that's needed than just personal development. You guys agree? All right. Awesome. So if you and your spouse aren't blissfully in love, it means that you've missed something along the way. You are missing their desire. Their desire will make all the rest unfold exactly as it's meant to. And this is where we're going to flip that emotional switch. How do we flip the emotional switch? How do we overcome that teeter-totter effect, the back and forth? Well, what we do is we literally coach our clients word for word on what to say to reignite that spark of desire again. What to text your spouse, how to respond to text messages from them, how to have in-person conversations, when to bring up the elephant in the room, when not to do it, right? There's going to be a right time and a wrong time for every single thing. It's vital that you know when the right time is and when the wrong time is, so that your efforts don't keep backfiring and you stop unintentionally pushing your spouse further away. We show our clients exactly what to do to have their spouse naturally feel attraction for them again. So now that your spouse has hit the pause button, just imagine this with me, right? We're going to show you how to flip that emotional switch so they desire to be with you again, and they start taking some steps towards you. Now, I think the best way to show this is with real life, right? Real people's marriages, just like yours. So this is, again, another client experience that they shared with us with permission. Biggest win yet, he says, after 2 months, and there's some typos here, so I'm going to add in a few grammatical things, okay? Read along with me and you'll get it. Biggest win yet, after 2 months, and I was doing everything wrong until I started the program and changed my whole outlook and stubborn ways. It was heartbreaking to hear she was moving into her own townhouse last week, but it simply turned into her missing me, and she reached out. We talked here and there, but yesterday she called me out of the blue and we had a great talk. Even better today and tonight, she dropped more hints than a little. She wants to get back together. What is this client doing here and why is it working? Let me know in the chat. Yep. What's happening here? So he admits that he was doing some stubborn things. He had some stubborn ways, right? He was doing everything wrong. Sound familiar? Sounds familiar to me. Before I did this too. And it was heartbreaking. She wanted to move into her own townhouse. Then what happened? He hit the pause button. He took the pressure off. Can you see that in between the lines here? Yep, pattern interrupted. He stopped being needy. Yeah, he took the pressure off. He gave her the respect there. Yeah, you said, I'm stubborn. Yeah, I'm stubborn too. And then what happened? So instead of begging and pleading or trying to manipulate her or trying to like demand that she do anything, he gave her space, right? And I'm not saying space is always the solution, but in this case, it was the right one. That's why it's so important to work with us so you know what's the right solution for your exact situation. Okay, so then what happened? He took the pressure off, and what did she do? She started missing him. She reached out. Is he chasing after her, or is she starting to initiate conversation? She called him out of the blue. They had a great talk. And now she's dropping hints that she wants to get back together. So who's chasing after who? Are you the one chasing after your spouse still? If so, we're going to flip that so that your spouse is the one chasing after you. How good would that feel? How different would it feel from what you're doing right now? If we turned your spouse, who is unwilling, maybe even feels cold-hearted, maybe even feels narcissistic, completely emotionless, whatever, right? Into someone who wants to work with you. We take the unwilling spouse and help them become a willing spouse. How good would that feel? Let me know in the chat. You guys want that? I want that, like heck yes. I love it when my husband wants me and pursues me and chases after me. I hate it when I'm the one scrambling after him, right? Exactly, yes. All right, yeah, I do. All right, awesome. So that brings us to connection. And this is where your spouse and you are both going to feel safe. They're going to feel close to you and they're going to invent excuses to be around you. It would feel great. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so I love this question. Thank you, Lisa. I'm going to share that one here in a bit. It will feel good. Currently, she only hates me. Yeah, it would be quite different. Exactly. I would love that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go to Lisa's question here. That would feel great. But what about the pain from the affair? I love that question. Thank you. You guys have all been wondering, Heather, when do they get to take responsibility for what they're doing? And when do we get to heal things and talk about the deep issues? When do we get to talk about the elephant in the room? Now it's time, because we've solved problems in order. Remember, I talked about your relationship right now. Sorry, I'm going off, is not stable enough to be able to handle the deeper root issues going on inside of your relationship. It's almost like a medical patient. Imagine someone coming into the ER and they have a brain tumor, very serious issue. It's not good, but they're in cardiac arrest. Their heart's failing and they're going to die. Are the people in the ER, the doctors, the surgeons, everyone, are they going to do operation on the tumor right now? No. What are they going to do first? Stabilize the patient. We're going to stabilize your marriage. It's not stable enough to handle the brain cancer. Right now, Lisa, if you have not hit the pause button and they're not wanting to work on things and they're having an affair, or you had an affair, your relationship is not stable right now to go in and remove the brain tumor to talk about the affair. But what we're going to do is create that stability with step 1, the pause button. That's the stabilizing. That's where we're going to reduce the tension, stop any more damage from happening. Then in step 2, get them to be willing to work on things, right? If a patient isn't willing to live, then all the operations in the world aren't going to save them. I was willing to live, even though I was only given a 5% chance to do so, right? So we got to increase their desire and their willingness to do this. And then now is when the patient, AKA the marriage, is ready to go into connection, is ready to heal the pain from this affair, is ready to purge itself of all the yuck that has happened up until this point, that has led things to this point, okay? And so that is why we have step 3. And that is why we have to solve problems in order. I hope I've made that so clear, because if you push for things too soon, it's going to backfire. You have to go slow to eventually go fast. Okay. All right. You're welcome. So here is where they are going to feel safe and you're going to feel safe. Here's where we're going to heal and restore the trust between you. And we're going to go deep into all the root issues that led to this point so they do not come back, so that you can create a new, healthy, and even better marriage than you've ever had before. All right. Coach Curtis is here too. I'm going to make him a panelist real quick. All right, awesome. Let me find you, Coach Curtis. Curtis is amazing, and he can help answer all of your questions as well. Okay, I think I did it. So in step 3, oftentimes people will call this the friend stage because you're able to talk about anything. You have respect. You have communication open now. You have an understanding between you. But sometimes what happens is that people can make a huge mistake here, and I want to make sure you don't make it as well. You either A, get stuck in the friends stage. Let me know in the chat if you've done either one of these. Or B, you push too hard, too soon for their commitment and it backfires. So let me know if you have done either one of these. Have you gotten stuck in the friend stage? They might say, I'm so glad that we're friends. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I think it's great that we can co-parent now. I think it's so great that we can talk and we have respect for each other, but I still don't have any like romance or love for you, right? You have not there yet either. Yeah, that's all right. Or sometimes you get there and you get so excited because you're talking again and you're friends and you're able to do things, you're able to solve these issues, and like the things that were such burdens on you for so many years are now healing, that then you're like, yes, we're committed, and you're not committed yet. Exactly, roommate mode. That's exactly another word for it, is roommate mode. Friend stage, roommate mode, co-parenting, all of the above. Yep. So we want to make sure you do not make the same mistake. What's happening is that we've identified there's about 12 different tests that some spouses put you through before they finally give their heart to you and they let go of the story that they have about you. And we will help you pass all of them, so they no longer see you in the way they do right now. This is one of our biggest discoveries. Right now, your spouse has a story or belief about you. You don't respect me. I can't trust you. We're better as friends. I don't love you. Maybe I never loved you. I married the wrong person. I'm not happy here. You won't change. Or maybe I see that you're changing, but I don't believe the changes because I think that they're just a manipulation. Right now, your spouse has a story about you. And they will hold on to this story because they've created it over the past weeks, months, years as either a self-defense mechanism to protect them from feeling pain, or B, as a way to not feel so much guilt or shame about the choices that they are making. It kind of lessens the guilt load if they can put it on you and they create this story that maybe it's your fault. Okay. So because our brain is so powerfully designed to protect ourselves. It's vital that we help your spouse know that it is safe to let go of that old story about you and to create a new narrative, a new belief about you, and see you for who you really are. We call this seeing you with fresh eyes, right? So we will coach you on how to kind of wipe the slate clean between you. No matter how long they've held on to this belief or perception about you, no matter how their beliefs were about you or how many mistakes you made or they made. So you both can just learn from the past, not really forget the past, but learn from the past and see each other with fresh eyes. You want your spouse to love you for who you really are. That is the ultimate purpose and goal and joy of marriage. It is the most intimate relationship we can ever have with another human being. And that is why our hearts so long to be vulnerable, because without vulnerability, you don't have intimacy. You want to be truly intimate with a person, you have to be fully vulnerable. You have to be like yourself, raw, flawed, broken, all the things, and still be loved and accepted anyway. And so you want your spouse to see you for who you really are and to love you for who you really are. You want them to come back to you and want to be with you, not because you made them, but because they want to. And that's where we can help you get, because that is the most amazing thing to have in your marriage. That is the ultimate level of safety, of trust, of security, of passion, and of bliss in your relationship, to be so completely you and so completely loved. So I'm going to share with you guys how Leah ended her husband's affair and restored trust between them. I really want to share this on our video. Let's see if I can I? Is it going to let me? No. How do I get out of this screen? Dang it. I'm on my laptop with not dual monitors, which is unusual for me. I don't think I can. Dang it. All right. Well, go ahead and check it out on our YouTube channel because it's amazing. All right. So Leah's husband was having an affair when she first came to us. And he said, I want a divorce and I want to go marry this other woman. And she was pregnant with their first baby. And it was about a month before their son was born. So I'll just read Leah's story, but if you can, go check it out on our YouTube channel. We have numerous client stories, testimonials, and episodes over there for you to check out. That's High Thrive Coaching on YouTube. All right, so Leah says, 1 year ago, my husband and I brought our son Gideon into the world, but this day doesn't just mark his birthday. On this special day a year ago, I was terrified. Even though my husband was there for the birth of our first son, I was petrified of the unknown, of what was to come, that I had no idea what lied ahead of me, of us. I was afraid I was going to raise our son by myself, that the most my husband would see him was to visit, and I would be alone. But here we are 1 year later, and my husband and I are happier than we've been in years and stronger than ever. We are doing this parenting thing together, and we are striving every day to have a thriving marriage. And can you believe it? Gideon, her son, is going to be a big brother come September. And I wouldn't be where we are today without the tools that Marc, Johnston, and Heather Choate gave me. I must say it took work and consistency, but man, it was all worth it. I am truly blessed to have found this program and so blessed to be able to work with such an amazing team. Thank you guys for all you do. And for those of you working to have a thriving marriage, don't give up. Stay consistent. There is a rainbow after every storm. This too shall pass, and you will rise stronger than ever before. So challenges come to all of us. It's what we choose to do about them. That brings us here to step 4, which is commitment. And this is where they give you their heart fully again. So I want you just to imagine how amazing you will feel to know exactly what to do now, to have them come running after you and begging to be with you. Imagine what a relief it will be to have a step-by-step plan that takes all the guesswork out of it, and the mistakes you will suffer if you try to do this alone and rely on your own biological instincts, right? No more crying, overanalyzing, ruminating, worrying, stressing, beating yourself up, losing sleep, begging them, and then crying even more. Just the sweet, easy feeling of peace, knowing that you have now rekindled the romance between you and you get to spend the rest of your lives together in security, ease, and passion, just you and them together forever. So I want to know, what is it worth to you? Let me know in the chat on a scale of 1 to 100, how important is saving your marriage to you? Put it in the chat. I want to see where you guys are at. How important is saving your marriage to you? To me, my marriage is worth everything. My family and my marriage are sacred to me. And there's nothing that I wouldn't do, give, or have, or be to have a happy marriage with my spouse, and to do it in a way that is healthy and natural and functioning, right? 100, 100, 95, awesome, 100, a million, 100, 1,000, awesome. Thank you guys. That's beautiful. That is one of the most important things. Yeah, everything to me. And for my kids too, 100. Awesome. So in just a moment, I'm going to tell you how you can access our 4-step path coaching and get them running back to you. Before I do, I want to ask you a question. Yeah, there's no value you can put on it. Exactly, Dan. Yeah, it's invaluable. There is no price tag. So is there anything that you would give to end your pain and be back with your love again? Would you give anything to have a new, healthy, and beautiful relationship with them? Of course you would. That is why you are here. Something inside of you knows that there's hope. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. If you knew there was absolutely zero chance of turning things around, you would not show up, you would not be learning, and you would not be willing to do what it takes to get there, right? So we have spent thousands of hours working with couples, and we've distilled our most powerful methods into the simple 4-step coaching plan that will flip that switch deep inside of them and trigger the most unstoppable desire and have them begging to be back with you. And then we'll be able to work on the deeper issues so that you can really restore trust and heal fully. Now, just a bit of an inside, pull back the curtain. How long does this usually take? It varies greatly. It really depends. Your marriage is as custom to you as your thumbprint, right? But typically, for most people, even in the worst situations like this, within the next week or two from now, you will have your spouse hit the pause button. They will no longer be talking about divorce. They will no longer be going forward with separation. All right. And you will know what's really going on in your relationship. And then from there, within just a few short weeks from now, you will have our guidance on exactly what to text them, how to have those hard conversations, how to have them want to spend time with you and want to be with you again. And we'll flip that emotional switch and trigger their desire for you. Once you have their desire and they're willing to work on things with you, you will be able to overcome and solve any of the issues that brought you to this point. So the next step is fill out this form that we're going to put here in the chat to schedule a free marriage assessment with us to see if coaching with us is a good fit. So I'm going to post that link right there. This is just a form that you fill out, and then you can book your free marriage assessment with us. If you put your name and your number in the chat, we will also be reaching out to you for the marriage assessment because you already raised your hand. You're going to get first come, first serve. We are a small team. Okay. Our spots fill up exceptionally fast. We only have a few spots open on the calendar. If you don't see an open spot, please continue to check back and also talk with Coach Curtis here. He will get you in as soon as we can, but we don't want you to wait. Remember, time's not on your side. So if this speaks to you, I encourage you to book right away, as it is first come, first serve. So go ahead, fill out that form and book your call, leave your name and your number with the country code in the chat, and we will reach out to you directly after the masterclass. Thank you for coming today. We cannot wait to see your marriage thrive. I know you may still have questions, and that's good. We welcome all questions. We will answer any and every single question that you have, including what does it cost? It varies. We create custom plans based on you, what your budget is, where your marriage is at, and what's going to serve you best. Can you help me in this situation? Is it possible to turn this around? Can I really end this affair? What about this issue? What about restraining orders? What about if I'm already divorced? I saw a lot of great questions come in. Unfortunately, I don't have time today to go into all of them, but we will absolutely answer them with you on the one-on-one call, where we can go in deep and really give you the time and effort and focus that your questions deserve. So please bring your questions to us. The worst thing that you can do is nothing. Okay. Think about how you want to look back at this time at the end of your life. I know it's challenging, but you have more power here, and there is more hope than you realize. So own the power that you have, which is your choice. Do you want to look back at this time in your life with regret that you didn't do what you could have done when you had the opportunity? Maybe this relationship ends and you get into another one and you still haven't learned how to heal and have a functional, thriving marriage, and the same painful cycles continue to repeat themselves. Or you can look back at this time in your life with peace of mind, with no regrets, that you know you gave your marriage everything you could. To me, that's worth everything. To know that I did the best that I could, even if it wasn't perfect, because it's not going to be perfect, but to have that peace of mind knowing I did my very best. To me, that is worth everything. To look back at the challenges and, like Jennifer said, be thankful for the learning, be thankful for how they helped you grow. It's not your fault that things are at this point, but what you do from here going forward is absolutely up to you. You can learn new skills that will get you new results. So thank you for sharing with me where you want to go. We will help you get there. And I cannot wait to hear your story of how things turned around, how they hit the pause button, how they started to take some steps towards you. They invited you on dates. They started having conversations with you, how you're so proud of how you can tell your children how you did what you needed to do and how you're learning how to be a better communicator, how you're learning to respect, how you're learning how to get out of instinct and into your higher self. Okay. I cannot wait to hear how they put their wedding ring back on, how you go on a cruise together, or however you choose to celebrate. I cannot wait to hear your story of how this was the best experience of your life, even though it was probably the hardest, because the hardest ones are the ones that are most worth it. You are deserving of love. You are deserving of having a healthy relationship. You are worthy and you are good enough, and anything else is just a lie. So it's time to set the lies aside and live the way you're really meant to live and become who you're really meant to be. So thank you for allowing me to be a small part of your journey and hopefully a big part. And I cannot wait to see your marriage thrive. So continue to stay tuned and we'll talk again soon. Thank you for coming and we look forward to speaking with you.